suddenly deciding to sit down or something if everyone else around you is standing up. But saying that, I think if it was done in a very organised way, if everyone at that protest decided, right, we're going to go along in a very orderly way, in lines, and we're in a very, very controlled way, all sit down together in the middle of the street,
like the Korean farmer,
like the Korean farmers.
They are like the troops because they are very, very well trained. They got training camps, everything.
It was almost militaristic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think the democracy movement, they could learn from the way that the South Korean farmers operated.
Yeah.
When they could learn from the way the police and the military operate. There has to be some training beforehand. There just has to be. And that ultimately is up to the leaders, actually. They've got to realise that, and they've got to get people into meetings beforehand so that everyone knows exactly what they're doing.
So how would you say, well, as what Simon said, maybe Christina was not the real leader, or any other young guys wasn't a real leader, because they don't have system.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very beginning, like now. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would say those young guys in their 1980s, it's interesting what they're doing, actually. Because I would, they haven't quite got the confidence to do it totally independently on their own. It's almost as if they can only do something in public if they are part of another demonstration, and then they kind of later on sort of break off and try to push forward a bit. But in some ways, I would like to see a group of young people of their generation having organised meetings beforehand, getting to know each other very well, having really strong bond and trust, and talking in a very controlled way, so that they decide, right, this is what we're going to do, and on the actual day, stick to exactly what they'd all decided to do as a united force. And perhaps, even, wear the same outfits or clothes, and to show that it's been thought through and it's planned, and there's a united way. But sometimes at protests, what happen is, okay, people might have a little talk beforehand, but it can get out of hand, you see, and you've got to stay in control, and that takes a bit of training to stay very, very calm in a high pressure situation. And a front line of a protest can be high pressure, can't it?
For example, if you want to train up a group of protesters do some radical things like Korean farmer, then you may need a leader, you may need somebody to be the subgroup leader, and everybody has to listen to the leader. Then that's what they are not agreeing about. They're disagreeing about because they think they don't need leader. I need freedom. Freedom is of course okay. Everybody has freedom to be the freedom, but when everything's come to public, you have to care about the safety and everything, and I think the consequences. People had to really think, when you were young, you see a storybook, okay, what will you choose? Turn to page 3, and then if you choose yes, turn to page 1, page 2. If you say no, turn to page 5. The turning page of page 2 and page 5 can be totally different. That's the thing. I met some of them. I don't believe that they have really got that kind of maybe well-trained or well-educated stuff. Yeah, I mean, it is a difficult question, and I would say ultimately, because obviously I'm not Chinese, and in some ways there can be I find it a language barrier, but it's ultimately up to the leaders of the democracy movement to engage with everyone who's part of it, and the younger people, and to have meetings and say, listen, we've got to have some discussion about exactly the strategy and tactics that we're going to take, and if necessary, if some young people are not happy, they think it's not radical enough, then there needs to be that debate, but behind closed doors, and they have an intellectual debate, I think, so that the different elements understand exactly where they're coming from, and so have some sort of rational debate and see, explain to people. Sometimes I think it would help for someone to talk to some of the
people on the front line and have some debate about it and see, okay, I can, because I can totally understand how they feel, that they're frustrated that the fight for democracy is so slow, and that sometimes some older people are not willing to push themselves. But on the other hand, I think there has to be some discussion about the way the younger people are perceived and so on. And that unfortunately, you have to be aware of that. There is possible to think of ways to create a strong protest, but whilst it being very peaceful and very controlled, I think. And Hong Kongers have to have that debate, because I'm concerned that there's not that debate, not real debate happening within all the democratic groups about that. There should be a constant debate, I think, about that very issue, about how to find the right way forward, which does, stage strong, peaceful demonstrations, but in a way which can mobilize and empower, and get the backing of the people of Hong Kong. We've got 1 minute left. So I think we said enough about that, but obviously, in some ways, going back to, I just want to briefly end by talking about Liu Xiaobo, who's now facing 11 years in prison, and hopefully the international community in Hong Kongers will mobilise behind him and try to keep pushing for his freedom, because obviously he was quite an important figure in mainland Chinese. In the democracy movement and so on, with the Charter number 8, and do you think Hong Kongers will be willing to take on his case and keep pushing for it in any way they can?
No, I don't have enough confidence for that. But I do believe every Hong Kongers will remember that and in their heart. And in the future, if anything happened in Hong Kong or the Article 23, everybody will just take it out and talk about it again.
All right. I mean, I think we're running out of time, and but certainly I'm going to be interested to follow that story of this man, because I certainly feel it was an outrage that he was thrown into prison for 11 years. Just for expressing his opinion and fighting for democracy. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.